This week on The Aviators, ever thought of buying an airplane? Curtis looks at the different levels of aircraft ownership.
Aircraft ownership provides the ultimate freedom to travel where you want, when you want.
We explore how you can live just minutes from your hangar in an air park. And Sarah looks at the pros and cons of flying an aircraft with 2 engines. Modern aircraft are not simple machines. With all-glass avionics, hydraulically controlled gear or flaps, and airframes designed and engineered down to fractions of an inch. But with complexity also comes price, and that factor can scare a lot of non-pilots away from aircraft ownership.
Aircraft ownership provides the ultimate freedom to travel where you want, when you want. Obviously, the pinnacle is to arrive at the destination of your choice in your very own private jet. However, if this seems a little out of reach, there are some other, more affordable options.
For prospective pilots, the first type of aircraft you'd usually find yourself flying are single-engine, piston-driven aircraft, many of which are based on designs that have been around for several decades or more, such as the Piper PA-28. Originally marketed as the Cherokee, this aircraft has had several variations over the years and is now known as the Piper Archer LX. But with a design that's been produced for a long time, there's a very large secondary market for this aircraft, meaning used aircraft are available for as little as $35,000. So with the obvious price incentive to go used, why would someone buy new? Well, one of the big differences between used aircraft and new has become the avionics. Most aircraft currently rolling off the factory lines either have full glass cockpits standard or as an available option. For new pilots, glass cockpits can be easier to learn on as they use large glass displays instead of panels filled with gauges and switches. With the Archer, Piper is also trying to make it easy for non-pilots to get their aircraft and their license all in one go.
Jackie Carlon is the Director of Marketing at the Piper Aircraft Corporation. Jackie, why would a prospective pilot want to buy a brand new Archer today?
Well, there's lots of reasons why. Of course, one you already mentioned, we have a lot of upgraded avionics that weren't available when the plane first rolled out. We now have the Garmin G500 avionics suite with SynViz, which is just a great tool to learn on. We also have a new program called Ready, Set, Fly. And the aircraft comes with actually a private pilot course. So if you have never flown an aircraft in your life, but you've always aspired to be a pilot, now you could purchase an aircraft and then go on to do a private pilot course in an expeditious manner. Think of it just like an executive MBA. In about 3 weeks' time, you come down, you spend time in Florida where the weather and the climate is ideal for year-round flight training. You then go and work with an instructor that's been assigned to you to work directly with you during that time period. And while you're training in your own aircraft, which gives you an opportunity to become familiar with the systems and the way the aircraft handles and performs. So it's a great opportunity to just get your license done in 3 weeks and then fly home in your new Piper Archer LX.
Of course, the trade-off on this convenience is price. As a prospective pilot, going all in on the aircraft and license is going to set you back a cool $300 grand. But the Archer can only carry 4 people, and like all single-engine piston aircraft, it can only carry so much, so far, and for so long. So what if you need to carry more, faster, and further? Well then, you need a twin.
If your mission requirements exceed the capability of a piston single, most pilots step up to a light twin, which provides the ability to carry more payload, a greater distance, at a faster cruise speed. It also adds the redundancy of a second engine. A favorite among pilots, the Beechcraft Baron has been in continuous production since 1961. You can take delivery of a new one today, or you can purchase one on the used market for as little as $100,000.
This Baron is a factory new model, but whether it's a used or new twin-engine aircraft, when you double the number of engines, you're doubling the amount of fuel that goes into them as well.
What kind of fuel burn would a pilot have to plan for on an airplane like this?
Well, if you're trying to conserve fuel, you can take it down to 11 gallons per hour per side, and if you go to high-speed cruise, that would be about 18 gallons per hour per side.
But of course, as Curtis mentioned, that extra engine means that you can carry more, further, and faster.
Another advantage of this aircraft is the great big useful load. How do pilots use that capability?
Well, Curtis, if you look back here, you've got a couple of seats here that can be removed. Matter of fact, these seats can be taken out. You can turn this whole section into cargo space. You also have space in the back. You've got 300 pounds in the nose section as well, so incredible payload capability. So when you're putting 6 passengers here, they're not crowded with luggage. You also have a nice writing desk, so it really is a nice little office in the sky for the folks in the back.
Perfect. Now, what would a pilot have to or expect to spend if they wanted to take delivery of a brand new Baron today?
List price is $1,340,000, and typically equipped, you may drive it up to maybe $1,350,000. But air conditioning is included now. That was an option a few years ago, but it's now standard.
Fantastic. And what kind of requirements do you have for the pilot? What does a pilot need to be able to do, or ratings do they need to fly this airplane?
Well, you can do a multi-engine rating, VFR only if you like. Of course, we recommend multi-instrument really is the way to go to get maximum benefit of the aircraft.
So as you can see, the difference in price and the license required are significantly different when you jump up to a twin. But what if you want to go even further, even faster? Or if you just want a more comfortable ride for your passengers? Well, you could go to a pressurized twin like this Cessna 340. Being pressurized means that you can get up above 12,000 feet in altitude without all of your passengers wearing oxygen masks. But Cessna no longer makes piston twins, and if you really want to fly in style, then you need a jet.
For most pilots, the pinnacle of aircraft operation is to be able to fly your very own personal jet. At Embraer, they developed the Phenom 100 to appeal to that category of pilot. Clint, what kind of pilot operates this aircraft?
Well, Curtis, really it's a wide variety of people. We're finding the typical Phenom 100 owner, or folks that are moving up from high-performance aircraft, aircraft such as the Baron, the Bonanza, things like this. Also some people that are moving down from other jets. They just want an aircraft with newer technology, more efficient, and the latest and greatest.
Enabling the Phenom to go faster and farther are 2 Pratt & Whitney PW600 series turbofan engines. Usually turbofan aircraft need 2 pilots to operate, but the advantage of the Phenom is that with its small size and advanced avionics, it's certified to be flown by a single pilot.
Now, what's required from a pilot standpoint? Do I need to be a commercial pilot to fly an airplane like this?
No, you have to have a type rating, and the type rating comes with the purchase of the aircraft, and we have a joint partnership between Embraer and CAE Semiflight, and the flight training using the state-of-the-art simulators located at the Dallas-Fort Worth facility.
So if a guy's a private pilot and he has the means to buy an airplane like this, you'll actually train him to operate it safely?
We'll train him into the type rating. They have to have the initial conditions or initial qualifications prior to entering flight training, but we'll take them through the type training.
And if I had an airplane like this, I was obviously going to keep it for a while. What kind of maintenance schedule would an airplane like this keep?
This aircraft, because of the airline heritage of Embraer, is on about a 600-hour maintenance cycle, 600 flight hours, or once a year. We want to make sure we see everybody at least on an annual basis, but it's flight hour driven as well. And we integrate MSG3, it stands for Maintenance Steering Group, and it's the 3rd iteration of that. It's what the airline manufacturers use to make sure their aircraft are very reliable and very easy to work on. And we put those in even to the smallest jets.
So if you could afford it, this aircraft would allow you and 5 of your closest friends to zip around the country without needing to hire a professional pilot and co-pilot. But for Curtis, how does that compare to the other aircraft?
Well, if I had to choose, I know which one I'd be taking home.
Whether it's a Beech Baron, a Piper Archer, or the Phenom, private aircraft ownership gives you the freedom to go where you want, when you want. Well, sort of. Unfortunately, an aircraft isn't something you can just store wherever you want. And of course, many need a couple of thousand feet of land just to get in the air. Usually this means storing your aircraft at a local airport or flying club, which could be anywhere from several minutes to several hours away. But what if your hangar was part of your house? And what if you could taxi from your hangar to the runway? Well, if you could do that, then you're probably living in an airpark. This is Heaven's Landing, a fly-in community in the mountains of northern Georgia. Based around a 5,000-foot private runway, Heaven's Landing is a developing community designed for anyone who wants to not only own an airplane, but also be minutes away from taking off and going wherever they please.
At Heaven's Landing, the runway is your driveway.
Mike Cicchetti is the developer and manager of Heaven's Landing. He initially found the site by accident, but immediately knew that it would be the perfect spot for an airfield.
It's kind of a metamorphosis. Initially, back in 1992, I discovered the property kind of on accident. It's a 635-acre tract that was here that I didn't actually know about because it's surrounded by national forest. I lived a few miles away, and I had a bull and a few cows, and they escaped my pen and came over and cross-grazed here on the pastures that are now Heaven's Landing. When I saw it, I said, wow, it'd be amazing. You know, you could land a plane there. Lo and behold, 9 years later, I signed a big contract, decided to put a deposit down on that property that was then available and turn it into a fly-in estate. I actually had plans to have a fly-in community for myself. Got in an accident later that year and had a bad shoulder injury which detoured my career, and I ended up turning it into a flying community for the masses, and we've done pretty well with it.
Heaven's Landing is a relatively new development. There's just a smattering of luxury homes built today, but Heaven's Landing has plans to accommodate over 170 homes in the airpark.
We've got 14 homes so far, and it's roughly 50-50 as far as full-time, part-time. A great clubhouse here that we just completed a year ago, and it's a social centerpiece for all the fly-ins, Super Bowl parties, St. Patrick's Day, Easter brunch, Easter egg hunts, that kind of stuff.
It sounds like a great community center. What other sort of recreational activities do you have available?
On site, we have racquetball, fitness center, steam and sauna in the locker rooms, then hiking, biking, fishing, you name it. It's a great area. We're surrounded by national forest, yet the beautiful part about it is that we're only 3 miles from downtown Clayton, so it's only about a 7-minute ride to gourmet restaurants, a grocery store, you know, all the things that you know, city life has to offer. You have the best of all worlds.
But this is a fly-in community, so the big attraction is, of course, the flying. And the North Georgia mountains are the perfect backdrop no matter what aircraft you're in.
We have everything from Stearman's to Citation. We're lit. We have a PAPI. You can come in here, you know, all hours, day and night, safely. We have a real eclectic group of pilots and group of aircraft, great people.
Oh, another beautiful day.
A young group too. That's what's nice. We have people that are real young at heart and people that are just real young, and it's nice that we're not just an old folks flying community. We're a happening folks flying community.
One thing that's clear is that this happening community loves aviation. If the sound of airplanes taking off grates on your nerves after a while, you might want to look at other options. However, one of the unique features of Heaven's Landing is that not all of the lots are directly off the field.
Probably one of the things that's unique about us relative to other flying communities is that because we're mountainous, not all of our lots are taxiable. But that's what makes this place so beautiful. You can have a mountaintop lot and views of 3 states and have a hangar on the field a minute or 2 away that you own, that you have all your private stuff in. The other thing that's nice about that is when you have social parties, that kind of stuff, you can have your party in your hangar, and if they spill wine on your floor, you go, oh well. If they do it on the carpet at home, it makes people upset.
Now, of course, taking the plunge and living at an airpark is not a financial decision to be taken lightly. Heaven's Landing, like many airparks, is a gated community. And to match the mountain settings, there's also a design standard that all homes need to conform to.
Well, we have a 2,500 square foot minimum requirement on the homes. We call it a mountain elegant decorum, so it's a nice combination of wood and stone. You have to use all natural products, no vinyls or aluminums.
For Heaven's Landing resident Tom Nasser, this decorum worked out perfectly.
I purchased a lot up here at Heaven's Landing about 1 year ago with the intentions of maybe building in 5 to 10 years, waiting for the economy to get better. Well, guess what? I don't know if it's getting better or not, but you only live once, and I made the decision with my wife that we're going to build our dream home, and we wanted to do a log cabin. Everything's coming along great. We're hopefully be able to move in August of this summer, which is great.
The mountainous location has not only affected the homes. Mike has taken a lot of care to develop Heaven's Landing so that it fits in with the surroundings and seems less like an airfield and more like a community. The terrain has posed some challenges, though. The runway is sloped, which may seem odd to non-pilots, but is quite common and completely safe. Also, the construction of the hangars was impacted by both the terrain and the community design style.
We have limited flat space at Heaven's Landing, so we took advantage of what flat space we have and a little bit of the slope. We actually did a 2-story hangar concept where our hangars are stacked on top of each other. It's never been done before. We've had a lot of people inquire about doing it since. They've asked us how we did it, and then when they figure out how much it costs, they seem to back away because it's not a cheap thing to do, but it was a very, very exclusive thing, and they turned out great. We did them with standing seam roofs, Wilson bifold aluminum doors. They have a 612 pitch, so they have a look that is non-hangar-esque. We wanted them to look more residential or equestrian stable-like to give them a feel that was residential. We're not an airport, we're a flying community, and I don't want this place to look like an airport, and we've done the best we could to keep it that way.
Whether you're living at an airpark or you're hangared at a flying club, you're probably going to want to use your airplane to go somewhere. And as we mentioned earlier, one of the simplest ways to get to your destination faster and with more stuff is to have 2 engines. But for all the single-engine pilots out there, I gotta tell you that taking the plunge and adding a second engine is not so simple. Earlier this season, I attempted to land a simulated 737 with 1 engine out. While I'm used to flying with only 1 engine, in a multi, this is quite a challenge. A twin flying with only 1 engine flies very differently from a single-engine aircraft. This scenario is exactly the reason why you need an extra rating to fly multi-engine aircraft. And Sarah just so happens to have a multi-engine rating.
So what's the main difference between flying a twin engine and flying a single engine? Well, the most obvious difference is in the name. Twin engines have 2 engines. Now, this means a couple of different things, however. In the cockpit, that means you have a much greater workload. You've got 2 throttles to deal with, you have 2 pitch controls to deal with, you have 2 mixtures to deal with, double engine gauges, double fuel gauges, double of everything, basically. You have a lot more that you need to pay attention to and monitor all at once, and that really increases the amount that you have to do and pay attention to in order to make sure everything stays the way it's supposed to be.
Sarah flies a Cessna 340, which has the added complexity of also being pressurized. To many, Cessna is known as being mainly a single-engine company. However, they've produced twin-engine aircraft for many years. One of the big advantages of Cessna's twins versus their singles is their speed.
A Cessna 172, for example, goes about 100 knots. A Cessna 340, on the other hand, goes about 200 knots. So you've got twice the amount of speed that you're going to be able to go with.
That doubling of engines is also going to mean that you're doubling the amount of engine maintenance. And as we've mentioned earlier, doubling the amount of gas that's needed to feed those engines.
Set for takeoff. Flaps are up. Belts, doors, windows, seatbelts on?
Yep.
Okay. Traffic Golf Lima Uniform Victor is taking position runway 33 for departure to the north. So the Cessna 340, this plane that we're flying right now, we carry about 183 gallons of fuel, and that's a lot. It allows us to go maximum about 750 nautical miles in across country. I can carry about 5 people with full fuel, and in a full tank go about 750 nautical miles. Now, of course, with gas prices being what they are, that's going to cost you about $800 to entirely fill the airplane. So it's a big cost, but if you can take that cost, then it's really useful because you're going quickly, you're going far, and you get to carry a lot of stuff.
In order to get a multi-engine rating, you have to already have a pilot's license, so relatively little of the training is dedicated to actually teaching you how to fly. Instead, the training focuses on what to do if things go wrong. And pilots training for a multi-engine rating can quite often find themselves flying around on just one engine.
When I was doing my training for the multi-engine rating, oddly enough, I did fly around a lot more on one engine than I flew around on two. The training's all centered on emergency procedures, and what's one of the most important things that happens in an emergency is if your engine fails. We did a lot of training with only one engine, and I learned exactly what I needed to learn to handle a situation like that.
To understand why this procedure is so important, it's best to look at how the placement of two engines differ from just one. With a single-engine aircraft, the engine, which of course provides thrust, is placed along the center line of the aircraft, which happens to also be the lateral center of gravity. With a twin-engine aircraft, the engines are placed in equal distance from that center. This ensures balanced thrust on either side of the center of gravity.
Now, unlike what you may think, if you lose an engine, you lose 50% of the power, 50% of the performance. That's actually untrue. You lose about 80 to 90% of your climb performance if you were to lose an actual engine in flight.
While the overall forward thrust is reduced, the thrust also becomes uneven. Say the right engine fails. The uneven thrust coming from the left engine is going to make the aircraft want to yaw to the right. Also, because the left wing is now moving through the air more quickly, it's generating more lift, and the aircraft will bank toward the dead engine.
So when you lose a single engine, you're going to be applying a heck of a lot of rudder on the engine that's alive. So let's say I lose my right engine. I'm going to be applying a lot of left rudder to keep the engine from yawing into it. I'm also going to be applying a little bit of bank towards the live engine to keep the airplane flying straight. That way I can keep straight and level. I'm going to want to make sure I keep my airspeed above the minimum control speed. In a Cessna 340, it's 86 knots. And then that way, I'm at a safe speed to be able to maneuver and not risk flipping into that dead engine.
This is just one of the many complexities that come from flying a twin-engine aircraft. When considering whether or not this complexity is worth it to you, you really have to look at what you plan on doing with your airplane.
If you're just looking to be the average pilot, flying around during the day, beautiful weather, maybe taking up family every once in a while, not going very far or very fast, then maybe a twin engine's not for you. But if you're looking for something utilitarian, if you're looking to get you places, take you far and fast, then a twin engine is something you really want to consider.
For more information on today's segments, visit www.theaviators.tv. From our official home at the Whitman Regional Airport in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, we'll see you next time on The Aviators.